Hello and welcome to Epic World Builder. My name is Mike Hewitt, and in this video we're going to be diving into the full tutorial covering the wiki section of Epic World Builder. Now the wiki section is the basis that really everything else stands on. There are other videos that are going to cover the VTT, or virtual tabletop, and then map building. Now when it comes to the VTT, it is built on our wiki pages, so you will need to know the basics of how to build a campaign and pages before you can actually use the VTT section of the Epic World Builder. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing we need to talk about is campaigns. A campaign is basically a collection of pages that makes up your world. And you can access them by clicking the campaigns in the menu bar. You will see two different campaign sections. You're going to see public campaigns. This is where users have decided to share their campaigns with everybody. And you also see your campaigns. This is where all of your campaigns will be located. Everybody starts off with an example campaign, but let's go ahead and create a brand new one. It's very simple. All you need is just to give it a title and a description. I'm going to name mine Nara. It sounds kind of, solid fantasy world-ish. The description, it helps your players know a little bit more about the campaign. So I'm just going to write something simple like, this is Nara, and we're using it as a tutorial. Once we create it, you'll be taken to the campaign homepage. You will also see it launches a quick campaign walkthrough. This is very helpful, especially if you're new, but if you want to skip it, let's just go ahead and go up to user settings and scroll down to disable badge tutorial. We'll go into this whole page into detail later, but for right now, let's just jump back into Nara. So we are back at our campaign homepage for Nara. This is where all the information lives when it comes to your campaign. Over here on the left, this is where you will have a list of pages, which right now we don't have any. You will also see a list of players down here, GMs, how many pages are in the campaign, and this right here will be the campaign logo. And you have About Us, how to create a page, the edit of the campaign, how to clone, and then our campaign name will be here. And this right here will let you know that it's a private campaign and not a public one. So I guess the first place we need to talk about is how to join a campaign. So let's go up and click the security button in the upper right hand corner. Now we're in the security screen. This section will show you a list of users that have joined the game. Right now you see that there's only one user, and she is the game master. You have multiple ways to invite someone to your campaign. You can invite them through email. You can also add them if you know their Epic username. You can also add them through an invitation code. But before we start talking about invitation codes, you also have the ability to deny or block players if you just do not want to play with them at all and make sure they don't get into the game. Now, I find the easiest way to invite players is using an invitation code. Just click the plus button and it creates a 6-digit alphanumeric code that you can just give to your players. Once they join, they will start to show up in your user list, and then you can start to promote or demote players depending on how you want their roles to be. You can have multiple GMs if that's a thing you want to kind of partner with another GM. You can have multiple and set it up that way. Let's head back to our campaign homepage. There is a button up here in the upper right, and if you ever see a button with this compass icon on it, that will take you back to the campaign homepage. So now that we're back on the campaign homepage, let's look at actually editing a campaign. You're not going to be doing a lot of this because most of your editing is going to be done on actual wiki pages. But if you need to do some editing that's across the whole campaign, this is going to be your page. First of all, here's where you would actually edit your campaign title. So if you want to change it from whatever you created it as, and then also the same can be done on your description as well. Now, this next section is a campaign URL segment. Let me explain what a campaign URL segment is. You can't really see it because it's off screen, but it is what's actually in your URL. This has to be unique across all Epic World Builder campaigns. So if somebody already has a campaign called Nora, you would not be able to create a campaign called Nora. It has to be something else like Nora 1 or Nora 2. Now your campaign title can be the same, but it's actually what's in your campaign's URL segment will have to be different. Kind of think of it as an email address. It has to be unique across the whole world. This checkbox will make your campaign show up in the public campaigns. So if you really like your campaign and you don't want to make it private, you can actually share it and make it public. That would allow all Epic users to be able to view it and clone from it. They can't change it, but they can view it and clone from it. So if you really want your campaign to be private, go ahead and leave this unchecked. Next is the campaign image. So if we go back to our campaigns, you'll see these are the icons. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. Clicking the icon will allow you to change this. So this section allows you to update that image. There are multiple ways to get an image. So first, we see that we have no campaign images. In the library tab, we have a few images that came with the example. Here is where you would drag and drop a new image, or you can actually browse it as well. And then the last tab allows you to use our generate image option. Now, I have 0 coins right now, but you can always buy coins, and then it'll actually use AI to come up with an image. Now, I'm actually going to upload. So I'm going to drag this image from my Window Explorer and drop it in here. And now here is the image. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And so now if we go back to our images, our campaigns, you're going to see that this is what we did. So you can tell our campaign image is here on the campaign homepage as well. So let's go ahead and go back to the edit page. So down here, this section, the change special page section, we can't really do anything with because it has to do with pages and we don't have any pages yet. Importing content, we can actually import from one of our other campaigns, maybe from a public campaign or from content purchased from the store, which is our marketplace. This checkbox is for overwriting matching pages URL segments when importing. And this is in the event that you are attempting to import a URL, so a page that has the same stuff. It will either skip or overwrite it, however you choose to do it. This is for deleting. So you would have to put in your password and then click this to actually delete the campaign. We want to make very sure that you want to delete it because once it's deleted, there is really no going back. So let's go back to our campaign homepage. So now that we're back at our campaign homepage, let's create a page. So you can either hit the plus button or actually hit this create pages button. So in this modal is where we can actually add pages. First, we don't have any campaign pages since this is our first. So next is library pages. Think of the library as a place that you can put images and pages and that are shared throughout all your campaigns. So if you really have a monster page or an image that you really want that you can want to use in 2 or 3 different campaigns, you can put it in your library and then pull it into any new campaign you have. Generate a page. This will actually help you generate something. Let's go ahead and do this. This actually uses our AI to help you create a page. So we can use AI to create any of these that you see here. So, and it's not completely random. We actually set it up so that you have to ask about 5 questions. Sometimes there's 4 questions, sometimes there's 6, but let's go ahead. So I'm going to create a character. Let's see. Okay, I need a male. If you really don't know what you really want, you can kind of hit these randomize buttons. So this will actually randomize it. So like I want a human, How old do I want this character? Let's say elderly. Occupation. We have all of these occupations. I'm going to randomly choose. Okay, store priority. You know what I'm saying. And what is the character's personality? Honorable. Okay. And let's see what this character's name. Okay, Gromuk. That's a good one. This is actually 6 questions, so we're going to go ahead and generate this. This doesn't take very long, but it is going to generate a full page for you with an image and all the attributes and text that you need. And it will create it really, really quick. So we actually have our first page about us, occupation, appearance, personality, backstory. It has a picture of our person here, and we have all the attributes down here. Some things that you don't want to hunt for in the text. So you can easily come here and say, oh, okay, they're human, their priority, personality, and anything else that you want. So now we have our first page. Let's go ahead and go back to the campaign homepage and see that we have one page. Okay, now that we've created our first page, you can see Gromuk is in the character section. And we can always click on this and go here, and to edit it, we just click edit, and here is our edit section, which we're going to talk about that in a second. And then also you can click this, and this will go straight to the edit as well. Let's create one more page, and let's create a town for him to go to or be a part of. So the next thing is I'm going to click, I'm actually going to create a page from scratch. And what we need is what's the title of this page? Now, obviously page type, we can go in here and we can see, oh, there's a city there. So that's what we want, but we need a town name. Now I can come up with this, or we can use our generators. So here's our generator page. So we've got all kinds of generators, from nicknames to flaws. But if we go down here are some encounter ones, geography, town. So I need a town name. And here's a town name. I can click on this. And what you see is it's going to give me some results here. You can also actually choose the size of the city. There are some of these have actual questions to give you broader things. And let's go ahead and generate. And it will come up with some here. Now it's going to give you 10 results. And if you still can't figure out which one you like, you can use the reroll button. This is like rolling a dice and picking which one you should choose. So let's go ahead and see. Let's see where it lands. Okay, Sapphire's Haven. I don't really like Sapphire's Haven. Let's go ahead and use Grimspire. So now we'll go back to our campaigns, and we're going to go and we're going to create a new page. So I'm going to click on this. Grimspire is our page, and we're going to make this a city. So we have the city icon. It's going to create a blank page. Now, if I go back here, you'll now see that we have one character and we have one city underneath these. Now I have some campaigns that have 500 or 600 pages. So as you can tell over here, we have 2 pages. So there's other ways of grouping it by. So if you just want to group it by title, you can group it by title, and this is just alphabetical, or by icon. You can kind of look and see, oh, I remember that guy, rather than going through. I do not have an image for this yet. Or you can search pages. So I wanted to search Grimspire, so I can find it that way. So that's how to use these 4 tabs here. I really like using the group section. So we have 2 pages, one that we have generated and one that we have made from scratch. And if we come in here and we see it is pretty blank. Another way we can bring in pages is by cloning pages in. So if we went to public campaigns and we saw, oh, look, there's one, a D&D 5e monsters. We can go in and find a page that we might want to clone into our campaign. These are the monsters that D&D allows people to use. So as we look through these monsters, let's just pick something at random, like like a nightmare. So let's go ahead and pick that. So now that we are on the page that we want to clone, we just go up here and click the clone button. Even though this page is in someone else's campaign, that campaign is public and we can clone it. And I have one page and I can clone it to an existing campaign, and I can choose what campaign I have, Nara. How do you want to handle naming conflicts? So if you already have a page that's called Nightmare, I can go ahead and replace it, I can duplicate it, or I can even skip it. I'm going to go ahead and it doesn't matter because I know that I don't have one, but let's go ahead and replace it. Now I have the page that I had brought in from the public campaigns, and this is the cool part. This is where the community comes in. We've got people that have made all kinds of things and put it public, and we can all share from that. So you can go in and see all kinds of items, our monsters, our pages, or all kinds of stuff, and you can go ahead and clone those into your own campaigns. Okay, so now we're back at the campaign homepage, and you can see that we have the Nightmare page, we have a Grimspire page, and a Grommet page. And now it looks like we need to get to the point where we can edit these pages. Let's go ahead and start looking at the back part, or how to edit these pages. So when I go to edit Gromrock, which is probably the best one because it already has all kinds of generated data in it, let's go ahead and start in the top left. So the first thing we see is the page title, Gromrock. So let's go ahead and look at the page itself. So here is our page title, and right next to it we see it has an I, which means it's public, and our players can see it in their actual lists. So let's go ahead and go in here and edit it. We can change this, give it like a last name. So let's go ahead and give it, I don't know, J, or no, H, that's a good one. Last name H. So when we save that, it's going to change the page to Gromrock H. And now when we go here, we'll see Gromrock H as well. Now this does not mean that it's going to change the segment URL. We're going to actually cover this a little bit later. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back in and take this out. Let's save it, and we're back here. So the next part is visibility. This is visibility to everyone. That means basically all your players can see it. The next option is visibility to GMs only, and this makes it so only GMs can see this. So when we go to the front end part of the page, you can see that the I with the line through it means that it's only visible for GMs only. In my game, this is how a lot of my pages start out. So for this person, maybe your players haven't met them yet, and you go ahead and set up the actual page. But once your players meet him, you can unlock it and let them see him. One thing in the list of pages is that you can see that pages that are visible to GMs only are set in red. So at a quick glance, you can tell which pages are public and which ones are for GM eyes only. I'm going to go ahead and set this back to visible to everyone. So next is the bookmark section. Right now it is set to not bookmarked, but let's go ahead and bookmark this page. And when we save this, you won't really see anything here saying that it's bookmarked. But if you go to the campaign homepage, you'll see it is now here under characters, but it is also bookmarked at the top. This is very key when you have something like 200 pages. You're going to want to start bookmarking pages that you use very frequently. And I like to use bookmark pages for those that I'm actually going to use during my session. So if tonight I have a session with my D&D group, I'm going to go ahead and bookmark pages that is going to be used, like encounters, towns, and people that might be used that night. If we went to Grimspire, we can also hit this history button. And you can see that here there is a history, but there is also, you can see top bookmarks here, and also default our primary page, which we are going to be talking about next. But this is a quick way to get to bookmarks as well. So we've talked about bookmark pages, but there's also primary pages. So this button will take you to the campaign homepage. We already know about that. This will take us to the history with the default page, but we have this button here. This will take us to the primary page. Right now, we don't have a primary page set, so it's going to take us to the first page that is alphabetical. But we want to go ahead and set that. So unlike bookmarks, there can only be one primary page. So reasons why you'd have a primary page, so maybe if you have a world map or just a page you want to get to quickly no matter where you are in Epic World Builder. So let's go ahead and set Grimspire to our primary page. Primary pages are not set at the page level like a bookmark. It's actually done at the campaign level. So let's go ahead to the campaign edit screen, and you'll see right here under the change special pages section, you'll see primary. So let's go ahead and click that, and you can see here are all our campaign pages. And I want Grimspire to be the campaign primary page. Let's go ahead and save that. And now we have Grimspire as our primary page. So you can have as many bookmark pages as you want, but there can only be one primary page. So now this means wherever I am, let's say I'm on the Nightmare page, I can go ahead and click this and it'll immediately take me to Grimspire. If I'm on Gromic page, and I can go ahead and click this and it'll also take me to Grimspire. So no matter where you are, this button will take you to Grimspire. I'm going to show you a great example of how to use a primary page later on when we talk about adding pins to maps. But for right now, let's go back to the Gromic page and let's talk about page types. This is used to group your pages. So let's say the character page is not really the right type. So instead, Gromic is more of a direction. So let's go ahead and change this to be a direction. And if we save this, now this page will be in the direction group. There have been many times where I had monsters that really weren't monsters, they were more animals. So I kind of switched them, and it was really, really easy to switch the types. But that's where we would change it page type. But this page is definitely a character. So let's go ahead and save that and change this back to a character. So the last thing in this section is the page URL segment. And we've kind of talked about this with the campaign having its own URL segment. The campaign URL segment is unique over all campaigns over all users. And what makes the page URL segment different is it's only unique within the campaign that is in. What both the campaign URL segment and the page URL segment give you is a unique URL. So even if you have two pages that are named the same, or even two campaigns that are named the same, they give you different URLs. So the next two sections we have is map and photos. Photo is the easiest to explain because we already have one set up. If we go to Gromrock page, you can see that there is an image of Gromrock that has been already generated for us. Now, there is only one of these per page. You can add more photos to the content area, but this is like the one that shows up underneath attributes. This is kind of your main image of the page. Now, let's go to Grimspire. So I'm going to drag on a map. Once the image is actually assigned to it, it will show up in this box. If you ever need to clear something out or made a mistake, this clear image button is really easy. All you do is clear that out. You can actually generate an image using our AI. Now you actually need coins to do this, and I have 0 in my wallet right now, but you can simply buy coins and use the AI generated tool to actually create images. You can upload an image, and that's the same process as dragging and dropping of what I did before. Library images is where you can add images that are in your library. And then campaign images are here, but we really don't have any campaign images because we haven't done anything yet. Now, I'm also going to drag and drop down a town image as well. So now I have a photo and a map. Now let's save this. Now, here is the map, which now has all kinds of things we can do to it. When a page contains a map, it's not all about the wiki anymore. All of your wiki content is now on this flyout on your left. This contains all of the wiki text about Grimspire along with the photo that we actually put in there as well. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and set something up and also show you how easy this stuff is to add. I'm actually going to create another map relatively quickly, and we're going to say this is world map, and I'm going to say a region, and we're going to create that. So I'm actually going to drag and drop a world map here. Okay, wait, that's that wrong map. Hold on, give me a second. I'm going to drag and drop this map, and I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, I have Ravenmoor, and I'm actually going to go back and change Grimspire to Ravenmoor because it matches our world map. And before we do anything else, the page segment is still pointed or still set to Grimspire. So I'm actually going to change that to Ravenmoor. So now the actual URL will be there as well. So now that we have Ravenmoor, let's do a couple things. We want to go to the world map, and I want to make that the primary page. So let's go back to the campaign homepage, and let's go down to the primary page section. I'm going to clear that out, and I'm going to pick the world map and save. So now I'm going to go to the world map. Now, what does this give me? So anywhere I'm at, I can go right to the world map by clicking the primary button. So now that I'm there, let's go ahead and add pins. Maps allow you the opportunity to add pins. So let's add a pin here, and I'm going to call it Ravenmoor. This is viewable to everyone, and I'm going to create a link to Ravenmoor and save. So now, if I'm somewhere, let's just go to the Nightmare page, and I'm like, okay, let's go to the primary page, and I can go to Ravenmoor. So now I click, and I can go right to Ravenmoor. Having maps on a page allows you to put these pins on it, giving you the ability to jump around really quickly to other pages through like a visual outlet. Maps also give you other things like fog, lighting, walls, measurement, pointer, all of these kinds of things. These things will and also tokens, but we will be talking about this a lot more when we get to the virtual tabletop part. We can also add a pin here to the Gromrock page. Even though it's a character, we can say, well, you know, that character is standing there in that road. So there we go. So let's go back to our primary page. Pins can also be used to kind of read up on something before you clicking. You don't necessarily have to click there to read it. It gives you information about the wiki text in the preview pin. So that is how to use maps and how to use photos. Okay, so to continue on, we have public content down here. Let's go ahead and go to the Gromrock page because it already has data in there for us to play around with. So you can tell we have a couple of different sections here going through all the way down. And if you look, when we save this or cancel, this information will show up here. Now there's a lot you can do here. So if you want, you can click outside of the editor and you'll see two options. Mobile, which will allow you to see what it looks like in a mobile form. The other is HTML. Behind the scenes, this is using HTML. So if you want, you can just do everything in HTML. Or if something gets a little messed up, you can easily go in and fix it in the HTML format. And if you look, we have H2s, paragraphs, H2s, but then outside of it, we have all these sections. So there's all kinds of stuff here. Let's go ahead and go through it. So this plus allows you to add something. We have paragraphs, images, embedded, lines, tables, quotes, code, grid, and layer. Let's go ahead and do a couple of these. I'm going to go ahead and add some space. Now, adding a paragraph is pretty self-explanatory. Let's go ahead and let's add an image. So there's a couple ways you can add an image. So you can paste the URL image, or you can drag a picture in here, or you can use an image from a campaign. I'm just going to go ahead and grab an image and drop it in here. Next, we have a line. We can add tables so that you have a table of 4. And if you look in the back, it's just a regular HTML table. And there's our HR, which is our line. Let's go ahead and get rid of those. The grid is very interesting. It's almost like Bootstrap, if you know anything about like HTML or JavaScript. So now we can kind of split things up. So now I can come in here and add some text, come in here and add an image, and over here, let's go ahead and, I don't know, let's add a code section. So now when we save all this, let's go ahead and look at, okay, some weird things are happening. We have a gigantic image. So the image that we have in here, the original, is really big. So we can go in and let's go ahead and add a smaller, let's make it smaller with an attribute like width equals 100 pixels. And now you have this here, and then code, and which the code actually kind of looks a lot like the other. It's just kind of a little bit of different font. So there's all kinds of stuff to mess around with in here. I'm going to go ahead and delete this whole section. I mean, you can do all kinds of things. You can make stuff. Let's go ahead and make this bold. You can italicize stuff, and you can make stuff strike through. I mean, just all your your normal kind of WYSIWYG stuff. Okay, the next thing, let's add something. So I'm going to actually go in here and say he is from Ravenmore. And before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and clear this stuff out. Now, let's look at the link section. So we're going to click on this Ravenmore and click the link. So linking stuff, we can link it to all kinds of stuff. We can actually link it to like Google, but then we can, that's like outside of EpicWorldBuilder. But we can also link it to the town of Ravenmore. And so when I save this, we can go and say he is from Ravenmore. And when we click that, it actually goes to the town itself. So that is another way to quickly jump around to other pages. Okay, let's go ahead and go back and edit the page of Gromrock. What else do we have? This right here allows you to have AI generate content for you. One nice thing that there is a history. So anything you have generated by the AI, you have history. But this does cost coins. But coins are rather cheap, actually. One coin is roughly 1 penny in US currency. So creating some content is just about 5 cents. We also have an option here to change the text color. So if you want something like purple, we can do that. And then we have the font and text size. I'm going to go ahead and put this all back. In fact, sometimes the easiest way is just to come back in here. I'm going to go ahead and take this out. And we have to take out the ending span as well. Yeah, sometimes just fixing it in HTML is the way to go. Okay. And then I'm going to go back, and we're back to square one. And so that's the public content. So the next section is the GM content. And GM content works exactly the same way, except for that it only shows up for GMs. And that could mean multiple GMs if you have it set up that way. So I'm going to go ahead and say this content is just for GMs. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now when you have that, you'll see this little section down here. So obviously this up here is all public, but players will not be able to see this section or even the toggle on their screens. We did put the toggle there in case like a player is behind you, kind of like a password kind of password section on most pages. Now don't forget, if you set the page to visible just for GMs, this whole page isn't even accessible to players. And so that is the GM content as well. Okay, so this next part we have over here under the page configuration section is page styles. If I actually save this, you'll see that this is a kind of parchment paper in the back of the actual wiki text. You can easily change this for games that are not fantasy, and we're planning on adding a lot more features for non-fantasy games in the future. So like, if you wanted to change this to this gray metal color and hit save, you will see that the background is changed to gray. So that is what this section is for, and I'm going to go ahead and change that back. Now this one right here is page chapter. Page chapter, it always starts out as 0, but the idea of it is when I go to here, let's create a few pages, okay? I'm going to, let's create a page, blank, and I'm going to call this, I don't know, story, or, you know, intro. And this is part of the story. So maybe I'm kind of creating a whole campaign and going through this. And then this one is, I'm going to say kind of the intro part. No, let's do like, I don't know, section 1. I'm really not come up with a lot here. And then lastly, let's create one more page. Story 1. So now if I come over here, I'm going to see in the story section, I have 3 things. Intro, section, and story. Now these are all alphabetized. So I'm going to actually, let's find something else for story 1. Let's call this background. Okay. And coming back over here. But if I want these into certain sections, so I want intro to be number 1. So if I would go to intro and I could put it as page chapter 1 and save that, I can come back here and now intro is ahead of it. And that's what I wanted. The chapter basically says any of the chapter 1 through whatever. If you assign a chapter to it, it's going to be at the front or at the top of that section, and also it's going to ignore the alphabetized stuff. So that is the goal here. And so then I can say section 1, I want that to be 2. And last, I want background to be 3. So you can now see that these are in a different order than what they were before, and taken not necessarily alphabetized anymore, but now it is in this chapter section. So that is what the chapter sections are used for. The next section is the map grid. We're actually going to be covering this later because it mostly has to deal with the virtual tabletop, and we're going to be actually talking about the virtual tabletop a little bit later. So let's keep going down and talk about attributes. Attributes are used to highlight data about pages that need to be found easily and quickly. On the Gromrock page, you can see that we have attributes like gender equals male, race equals human, and age equals elderly. And so when I save or cancel, you will see that those attributes are here on the front side of the page. Let's head back to the page edit. Now, the attributes that are there now were created by the generated page section. But we can change these to whatever we want. First, we have drop-downs that allow you to see options. We also have a randomize button if you decide that you don't know what option you want to choose. But these are all optional. Let's take age, for example. It says elderly, and the drop-down has a bunch of random numbers in it. But if you don't like any of them, you can actually type whatever you want. So I'm going to go ahead and type 92, and I'm going to add years old to it. If we save this, we will see 92 years old on the front side. Now, just to drive this home, let's actually go back to the edit and look at race and species. if I have a race that's completely made up for my game, let's say Saxtons, you can just go ahead and type that in and hit save. This makes attributes very flexible. If there is some attribute that you are not using, you can actually hit this delete button and it'll clear them out. But we can also add attributes using this add and remove button. There are a bunch of categories with fields underneath it. So let's actually look at city. City has things like population, temperature Fahrenheit, temperature Celsius. So let's go ahead and add a temperature. Even though this has nothing to do with a person or a character, the attribute doesn't matter. We can add it to any page we want. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the randomize button, and I'm going to get a high of 69, a low of 22, and an average of 36. Now when I save this, I can come back here and you'll see that there's a temperature here. I would suggest going through these category and fields to see which one makes your wiki page better. Now, that's basically attributes and how they work. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. It's very powerful if you need information quickly and you don't want to go through the text to try to actually find what information you need. So the last thing on the page to talk about is add page to library. So the library is a place where we can store pages and images along with other things that you can use as a shared place for all your campaigns. So let's say I really like the Gromrock page and I have 2 campaigns that I want to use it in. So simply to put the Gromrock page into the library, all you do is you go down to that page and you just click Add Page to Library. Now that you have a page in your library, let's go ahead and go look at it. But before we actually do that, let's go to the example campaign, and you can see that there is no page here called Gromrock. Now, let's go to the library section and check out pages. Here we see Gromrock. We can scroll down and actually add this to a different campaign. So let's choose Add to Existing Campaign. And I'm going to add him, Gromrock, to another campaign. And let's choose Example Campaign. And it's really that simple. Now, if you go to the Example Campaign, we should go ahead and we should see a new Gromrock page. And there it is. The library is for you to have things like images, pages, and more to share between multiple campaigns. And that is really the last thing on the edit page editor. Now that we are done with the back end or the edit part of the page, let's go ahead and show you the front end part of the page. We've already talked a lot about the wiki page when it comes to not having a map. So if we look at it, we have all of your public content here, including GM content below. You also have your main photo and your attributes below the main photo. Now, let's go ahead and look at a page with a map. So first, you see the map is in the background. Now down here, we have this game help. Let's go ahead and open it up and see what we can see. Now there's all kinds of help in here, but in the first tab we have map. So you can see at the top of the page we have a drop down that's all the way to the right, and no tool selected is the one that's chosen. This allows you to click and hold anywhere on the map and it will pan. We can also achieve the same thing by holding spacebar while clicking and holding as well. Next, if we scroll with the wheel itself, the map was going to actually pan up and down. While holding the shift button while scrolling up and down on the wheel does the exact same thing but from left to right. Holding the control button while scrolling the map makes the map zoom in and out. Now I use this a lot. There is also these buttons on the right side of the screen. Let's go ahead and talk about them. This top one, this allows you to zoom in. And this one obviously zooms out. 1:1, which is 1:1, gives you the map in the actual pixel size that it was uploaded in. This button means you want to fit it completely in the screen. So this has 100% of the map in the screen. And as you can tell, there might be some parts on the sides where space, you can see space. And this button means you want the map to completely fill in the screen completely. Now, this does mean there are some parts of the map that are off the screen, but you'll see no space. So next is the pin preview. This gives you a preview of a wiki page that the pin you clicked on is linked to. This preview can also be used to pull up a page on a monster when clicked on a token in the actual virtual tabletop. We're going to talk about that a little bit later when we get to virtual tabletops. But you can add pins all over the place and link them to any page you want to. Let's actually start by going to the world map, and we can do that by going to the primary page button. So right now we have one pin, and that pin will take us to Ravenmoor. And you could tell right now we didn't change Grimspire to Ravenmoor, but that's okay. We can add other pins. Let's go ahead and add a pin here to Stormwatch. I'm going to say Stormwatch, and I don't have a page yet. So I can do a couple things. Well, I can link it to something else. I don't have to link it to anything at all, or I can actually create a blank page. I'm going to do that right now. I think it is Stormwatch, and I'm going to go ahead and say city, and then create a new page, create a blank page. And now that is already taken care of for us. So we're going to have to go back, and because we made a new page, I'm going to have to name this pin again and link it to the page we just created of Stormwatch. Now we have two pins here, both linking to pages. So first of all, if we need some information, and I don't actually have to go to the page itself, I can go ahead and read it by clicking the actual pin and reading it in the pin preview. But also, you don't have to link pins to pages at all. I can just use them as information. I can just say, let me add a pin, and I'm going to add it, I don't know, let's say right here. And I'm going to say, this is going to be an encounter. Okay, I'm going to hit save. Now this page isn't linked to anything. So if you look, you will see that this one has an arrow that will take you to the page, and also there is a go to button that will also take you to that page. And this pin isn't linked to anything. And because it is not linked to anything, you will not see an arrow or a button. So you don't have to link a pin to a page, but instead you can just use it as purely just for informational reasons. Something that is helpful is to go up here and actually click Show All Tags. This will allow you to see all tags at once. Okay, let's go to Ravenmoor real quick. So now that I am in Ravenmoor, let's just add some informational pins. I'm going to add a pin, and I'm going to say this is the Bazaar. I think that is how you spell it. And I'm not going to put a page on it. I'm also going to add another pin. Let's put it here. Let's just say this is the tavern. I'm going to also put this as the shop. Now, these are viewable to everybody. And because I have this on Show All Tags, I can zoom in, and you can see these are all now labeled. I can also turn them off, or I can also just hide the pins. So what this does is give you a bunch of pins everywhere. And we have found that when playing, that the abundance of pins gives players more options. Players start looking at it with a more open world sandbox mentality. Now, let's see what we can actually do with pins. So we have pins here, and let me zoom in, and we can do all kinds of things with these pins. So now let's edit this pin. So under pin visibility, We have make this pin visible to GMs only. So this will actually hide the pins from the players. Now let me save that. And as you can tell, just like you can make pages non-viewable in the page list, the pin label has turned red. Just like in that page list, pages that are only viewable by GMs are red. Both of those, the red kind of indicates that it's viewable for GMs only. Let's go ahead and change that back. We can also link it to something. But up here, we have this pin edit. I can change the pin to a couple of different ways. First of all, we can change the pin to different colors. So clicking to green and saving that changes this pin to green. I can also change it to any of these colors, or I can actually change it to a specific color in here. Now down here allows me to grab it and rotate it. Now these circles around the pin have a kind of pin snap to certain angles. So I can snap to all of these different kinds of angles. But I can also have the flexibility to get exactly the degree of angle that I want by clicking and dragging here. Let's go back and you can see that we can change the design of the pin as well. I can change it to all these different kinds of arrows or X's. So I have all these different kinds of options. Let's go ahead and change that back as well. Now, we have the option of moving a pin as well, just in case you added a pin and it wasn't exactly in the right spot, or you decided to kind of move it later on. Okay, if I go ahead and leave, go to another page, click this, I can go right in here and you can see that I've already moved it because at one time the shop was here and now it's over here. And that is pretty much all the things that have to do with pins. It is a very simple way of doing things, but it is very, very powerful. You can jump from pin to pin as many times as you want. You can go from a world map to a country map, to a city or region, down to a building, and even down to like the chest in the corner if you wanted, or even on a microscopic level. This allows you to jump around in your notes just extremely quickly, but graphically as well. Okay, so we basically covered everything with wiki pages, but we do have one or two things left. Let's talk about the About page. So let's go back to the Edit page. Now we've covered the primary page, but we didn't really talk about the About. So let's go back and see what happens when we go to an About page without an About page assigned. Okay, we're back at the campaign homepage, and when I hit the About, you'll see there's just a little bit of information. A title, whether it's private or not, and a little bit of a description. But I might want to put a little bit more in here. So to do that, let's actually create a page that will be our About page. I'm going to go ahead and create a page, and let's call this Rules. So maybe you have a campaign with a new group and you want to kind of outline some of the rules and homebrew stuff. And let's go ahead and put it in here. Okay, so here are some of the rules. And then here we could do something like, I think we have an unordered list. Okay, I'm going to do an unordered list. So if I do Control-Shift-7, that gives me a list. I can say Rule 1, Rule 2, and then I'm going to save this. So now we have a page called Rules. Now let's go to our campaign edit and go down to About page. We can choose from the campaign pages and the page rules. I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now when we go back to the campaign homepage and they go to About, they go to the page I set up as the About page. And that is how to set up an About page. Now I know we've dabbled a little bit with cloning a page, But if we go up here to the clone button, we have a lot more options. This clone section is really powerful and does a lot. So what pages do you want to clone from this campaign? You can say all pages or specific pages. So here are the pages. Now all of these are selected. Blue means selected. One time I thought the opposite, I don't know why, and selected a lot. So maybe we just want the world map. Do you want to clone them to the existing or a new page? We can say existing. Which campaign do you want to clone them to? Let's go ahead and pick the example. And that starts cloning. Now this thing pops up again. We're going to have to go ahead and continue and get rid of this. Just go up to your profile and let's get rid of that. But now if you go to campaigns and we go to the other campaign, you'll see the world map is in there. That is a quick way of showing how to use cloning sections right here. So we have covered all the things related to wiki pages and campaigns. The next video you should probably watch is the Epic World Builder, the VTT, our virtual tabletop. That video is going to show you how to use tokens on your maps, on your pages that have maps, and you can actually start playing with your friends or your players over the internet, and allowing you to set up battles with monsters and your players. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned a lot. That VTT video is powerful. Go ahead and check it out.